Peacemaker is going to be narrating all of his special moves again on this Fatal Friday. Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do call Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor, and Fatal Friday is a series where I look back on videos where I casually went into the Kombat League trying to pull off unique finishers like Brutalities and Fatalities for the various characters in Mortal Kombat 1. The character of the week is going to be Peacemaker, and I'm going to be going after his Brutality Boom Boom, which is the Brutality version of his Sonic Boom attack. So get ready to hear him shouting Sonic Boom a pretty good amount.
The Terrans aren't a threat.
Yes, you are. You're lizard people. Jesus! What the hell?
Take one. Action!
Starting off, we randomly got paired up against somebody using Reptile and the kameo Cyrax. At this point, I was on an undefeated run as Peacemaker. And unfortunately for my opponent, they were winless in trying to turn that around. From the start, that left me really optimistic about my odds of winning this fight and also going for the Brutality. But even though I was optimistic, in the back of my mind I was still thinking, I kind of have to lose eventually. This could end up being the match where it finally happens. I mean, I doubt it, but I have been surprised before. So we can consider that a tiny worry that was going on in the back of my mind, and then I started messing up my buttons and screwing up my combos early on in this fight, which meant there were definitely some pretty good opportunities there for my opponent. Now, they never really ended up capitalizing on those, so my early mistakes kind of went without any real consequences, but there was no way for me to know whether or not that would continue. Regardless of what was to come, round 1 ended with Reptile doing a desperation fatal blow, and then that got blocked, and I was able to retaliate against it and eventually win the round. Whenever Reptile was really down low on health again in the second round, he would go on to do something very similar, and that could have been the end of the first match in my favor, no problem. But instead, I did not punish the fatal blow and I just started running away. The reason for that was I thought I could get a much harder Brutality against this person using Reptile. What I was trying to get instead was a Brutality for the kameo Kano. That Brutality is titled Knife to Meet You, which has a full screen requirement. Realizing it was not going to work out, I eventually decided to go for the much easier Boom Boom Brutality.
Alright, that might be overkill.
Brutality. Peacemaker wins.
There it is, that was the Boom Boom Brutality for Peacemaker. I'll definitely be trying to get that one again, but I want to first go back to what we were talking about earlier, me trying to get a different Brutality first, me trying to get that Knife to Meet You Brutality. Because that was an example of one of quite a few matches where I would just spend a bunch of time running away and trying to get the right distance and trying to get that Brutality with Kano. So I was just trying to run away and get full screen and start throwing knives at my opponents, but it never really worked out. Despite all of my annoying running away, I could not pick up that Brutality in this match. Now, I would eventually get lucky and get that Brutality against somebody else, but today is not that day. Alright, enough talking about a Brutality that I don't even get in this video. Let's get back to the matter at hand, the matches against Reptile. In our very first match, I was having a bit of button mix-up where I was just kind of doing weird things where I was not getting my combos, like I'm pretty sure I accidentally canceled out of one of my combos into anti-gravity. And I'm sure there are some other examples where I just end up screwing it up somehow, but yeah, that was happening a pretty good amount. In this second match, I ended up getting a 334 damage combo pretty early on. And overall, the weird combo drops were just mitigated a little bit more. The first round victory in the second match came pretty easily overall, and then the second round happened. Round number 2 in this second match, it is a weird round. The end result was something that would end up making me laugh a little bit to myself, but also it would leave me just shaking my head. Like, how did that happen? So it is here that I noticed my opponent is almost exclusively doing uppercuts, the force balls, and the acid spit. I don't really recall seeing him do any combos, so it seemed like it was a really easy set of moves for me to plan against. Or at least it really should have been easy. Somehow, I end up dropping the ball so hard, like the hardest I have ever done. This Reptile went on to beat me while almost exclusively using 3 moves. I say almost because there are 2 other things he ended up doing to finish off this round. One of those is that he managed to use and land the Cyrax net 2 times towards the end of the round. And then there was the other thing that Reptile did, because after landing the Cyrax net the second time, he walked right up to me and did the fatal blow, and sure enough, that ended up winning him the round. After that, I was kind of just completely lost in disbelief. Somebody had won almost only using uppercuts against me. I mean, credit to my opponent for pulling that off, but it was a pretty big shock for me. At the same time, though, that also super motivated me after seeing that, because I just could not let myself lose a match or the entire set to somebody only using uppercuts. So I was pretty determined to make sure that did not happen. Starting the third and final round, it was more of the same from Reptile. He was just jumping in and immediately uppercutting a bunch of times. And I will say, me not having meter makes this final round much closer than it should have been, because I landed Peacemaker's command grab combo multiple times. And then I realized the Cyrax net had completely screwed me over. After being hit by them multiple times, they drained all of my meter. So whenever I did the command grab combos, I was trying to use the meter burn sonic boom to continue the combo and get to that range of about 300 or more damage. But because of the Cyrax nets, I did not have the meter to pull that off. Settling for less damage kept Reptile around, and then the uppercut magic started to happen again. Before I knew it, somehow by the power of the uppercuts, I was below 30% health and near defeat. I was getting really nervous about an embarrassing loss to a winless opponent that was an uppercut specialist. But then suddenly it all worked out. I managed to just barely salvage the match and walk away with a win. So yeah, crisis averted. But I did only manage to get the brutality one time, and stopping here after one match, that would make for a pretty short video. So in order to get the brutality some more times and also to extend the video a little bit, this is going to be a double feature. We are going to see another match where the boom boom brutality is pulled off again.
The things I could do with your life story.
How about we make it a streaming series? Jesus! What the hell?
Take one. Action!
The very next match after fighting Reptile, I randomly got paired up against somebody using Johnny Cage in the kameo Sonya. In hindsight, rather than immediately looking for another opponent in the Kombat League, I probably should have taken a break and went into the practice mode for a moment. I was clearly having a timing issue whenever trying to use the meter burn sonic boom to extend combos. Well, actually, just overall, I was dropping combos in a multitude of ways. And I think I would have really benefited from using a moment to just test out my timing and get the rhythm and muscle memory back down. And that becomes very apparent in this fight, where my timing is still off and I dropped some really good opportunities that ended up costing me. For example, here in the very first round, it ends with both of us being below 30% health, and if I had pulled off full combos, that probably would have tipped this round in my favor. But that did not happen and Johnny Cage ended up winning it. So I went into round number 2 trailing and trying to fix my mistakes on the spot. While it was not anything amazing, I did take a step in the right direction. I ended up punishing the shadow kick from Johnny and getting a pretty good combo off of that. I still ended up dropping the combo, but only at the very end. So it was still nearly a 300 damage combo. Sadly, after that, I did not have enough meter for any really good follow-ups to any more shadow kicks, so I had to resort to just chipping away at Johnny until he was eventually defeated and I took round number 2. That may have not been a very graceful way to end up winning the round, but still, a victory is a victory. I'm still alive in this match. And then we were both just one round away from taking this very first match. So struggles aside, at least things were kind of close. The stray hits here and there just kind of continued and were the most I could really do early in the third round. That's mostly just because of the lack of meter. I think the most consistent thing that I did against Johnny was throw him around whenever he got close. That is not the most damaging tactic, but still it was adding up. I definitely should have been doing more than that, especially since I blocked that shadow kick a number of times, but I was just struggling to make the most of my opportunities for some reason. And that is kind of weird considering in previous matches, some of which actually got their own videos, I was not really having this issue. Still, I was having that problem, but I was getting around it because I had an okay life lead, or at least I did until I tried jumping in against Johnny and trying to kick him when I was airborne. I ended up doing that only to jump kick right into a fatal blow parry from Johnny. Now I ended up surviving that fatal blow, but it left me weakened quite a bit, so I decided to go ahead and spend all of my meter and try armoring my way to victory, but it turns out we both end up using our armored attacks at the exact same time, leaving us both only one hit away from losing, but well, another one of those damn uppercuts does me in. New opponent, same story, and courtesy of those cursed uppercuts, I had to sit through a Johnny Cage fatality.
Talk about talent. Meet Hollywood's newest star.
What?
Fatality. I win.
Well, alright, we're not off to an ideal start. We are down 1-0 in the set, but everything up to this point has been pretty close. And a little bit better execution could have had me winning instead, so I was not too concerned going into the second match. Speaking of the second match, I found myself spending meter almost exclusively on armored wake-ups in the very first round of that match. And of course I ended up tossing out more throws. I kind of have a habit of overthrowing in my matches, so yeah, that's pretty common. And while the armored wake-ups aren't anything major, whenever they were coming from Peacemaker back in the day, they were hitting pretty hard. So that damage alone was reasonably keeping me in the fight. And then finally at the very end I was able to break things up just a little bit. The end of the round saw me actually timing the Sonic Boom combo extension just right, and I ended up doing just enough damage with that extended combo to take the round. Now could this be a sign that my execution issues were coming to an end? Well, kind of. Going into the next round I would again pull off a full combo for over 340 damage, but I would also fail to do that again for the rest of the round. But this time that was not entirely due to execution issues. Part of that is because I got off to a pretty good life lead against Johnny Cage, and then I just kept trying to do the boom boom brutality again. That persistence going for the brutality over and over again, that let Johnny Cage come back and nearly beat me. But instead I got him cheerfully shadow kicking his way into oblivion.
Alright, that might be overkill.
Brutality. Peacemaker wins.
Oh my god, that still might be my favorite brutality moment ever. Not because it's some amazing combo or something like that that ends in a brutality, no. It is just because of that gleeful whee from Johnny Cage at the exact same moment the Sonic Boom turns him into jelly. Oh man, that shit's amazing. In fact, you know what? Let's see it one more time. And yeah, me going for that brutality over and over again and almost choking away the round, that felt very familiar to me. Because in a very recent video I did for Kung Lao, I found myself being the beneficiary of multiple matches where my opponent would just keep going for the same brutality over and over and over again. What's interesting about that is if they had gone for basically anything else, I probably would have lost. But because they kept doing the same thing, there was no guessing game, I could just keep countering it, and I eventually managed to come all the way back in multiple matches and beat my opponent. And then suddenly in this video, the almost exact opposite thing happens. I continue going for a brutality over and over and over again, and this time it's almost me who loses. But fortunately at the very last moment the Sonic Boom beats Johnny Cage's shadow kick, and I got that brutality one more time. Now we are in the final match. At this point Johnny Cage has pretty consistently been throwing out that shadow kick. It is nowhere near as frequent as Reptile was throwing out the uppercuts, but still it is a lot. So by this point in the set, I was just kind of waiting for the shadow kick most of the time, and I was doing a pretty good job guessing when it was going to happen. I would block it, I would do a little bit of damage, and I would just kind of keep repeating that process. Eventually we get to this moment here whenever I'm able to punish the kick, I go for a combo that ends in that command grab, and I try to do the meter burn Sonic Boom, which I think can trigger the brutality. But as was kind of a theme in this video, I mess up the timing, Sonic Boom does not come out, and sadly we do not get the brutality a third time. We're just going to have to settle for the 2 times I got it, but hey, at least we won back-to-back sets. We got the brutality twice. I'll be sure to show it one more time at the very end of the outro, that way we can enjoy it one more time before we part ways on this Fatal Friday. All in all, things are looking pretty good. Even if this was not my greatest showing with Peacemaker, We still achieved our goal of getting that brutality, and I'm pretty happy about it. And don't worry, I do have better videos remaining with Peacemaker where the combos, they actually land a bit more consistently. So no worries, we'll be seeing those in the near future. For now though, that is it for the Boom Boom Brutality and for this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to check out the rest of the stuff I have on the Thor's Entertainment channel. I do have other finisher videos for Mortal Kombat 1 just like this one. Those can be found under the Fatal Friday playlists. And if you're interested in any of the other stuff I do have playthroughs of other video games like Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, the remakes of Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, and a few other things as well, so feel free to check that out. Regardless if you do or if you don't, thank you for watching this video for this long. Take care. Hopefully I will see you next time.
All right, that might be overkill.
Brutality. Peacemaker wins.